There is a moment, perhaps you've felt it, when the world around you seems to pause, when the veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary thins, and a whisper from somewhere beyond time brushes against your awareness. It is the quiet but undeniable sense that something is ending, and something else, something vast and uncharted, is about to begin. This is the threshold. This is the moment your soul has been preparing for. Your soul's contract is about to expire. What does that even mean? The phrase itself carries an air of cosmic bureaucracy, as though some celestial office has stamped a due date on your existence. But the truth is far more profound, far more alive. A soul contract is not a rigid set of rules imposed upon you. It is an agreement you made before you took your first breath in this world. It is the blueprint of your lessons, your challenges, your greatest loves, and your most devastating losses, all carefully chosen, not as punishments, but as sacred assignments meant to awaken you. And now, that contract is reaching its completion. This is not about doom or finality. It is about transition, about the soul's evolution from one state of being to another. Imagine a caterpillar in its chrysalis, moments away from emerging as something entirely new. It does not yet know the sensation of wings, the freedom of flight, but its entire biology is shifting in preparation. So too are you. The signs are everywhere, synchronicities that feel like winks from the universe, dreams that linger long after waking, a restlessness that no earthly distraction can soothe. You are being called to remember. But what happens next? Some say the soul renegotiates its terms, choosing new lessons, new roles to play in the grand theater of existence. Others speak of ascension, of shedding the illusions of separation and stepping fully into the light of your true nature. And then there are those who warn of a crossroads moment of reckoning where you must decide, do you cling to the familiar, even if it no longer serves you? Or do you surrender to the unknown, trusting that the universe has woven a greater design than you can yet perceive? This is not theoretical. This is not abstract philosophy. This is your life. The decisions you make now, the fears you face or avoid, the love you choose to give or withhold, the truths you dare to speak or bury will shape the next phase of your soul's journey in ways you cannot yet fathom. So let us begin there, at the edge of understanding, where the known world dissolves into mystery. Let us explore what it means to stand at the expiration of one cosmic agreement and the dawning of another. Let us ask the questions that most never dare to voice. Who did I agree to be before I came here? Have I fulfilled what I promised? And when this chapter ends, what comes after? The answers may surprise you. They may unsettle you. They may even feel like remembering something you once knew but forgot. But one thing is certain. Once you glimpse the truth of your soul's journey, you will never see your life or your choices the same way again. The idea of a soul contract is not some esoteric fantasy. It is a mirror held up to the very architecture of existence. To speak of its expiration is to speak of cycles within cycles, of the cosmic rhythm that governs not just our lives, but all of creation. Yet, before we can understand what happens when a soul contract reaches its culmination, we must first grasp what it is: the nature of the agreement. A soul contract is not written in ink, nor signed in some celestial courtroom. It is an energetic imprint, a resonance of intention woven into the fabric of your being before you took form. Some traditions call it dharma, others speak of life blueprints or sacred vows. But beneath the labels, the essence remains the same. You came here for a reason. Perhaps it was to master a particular lesson: forgiveness, sovereignty, unconditional love. Perhaps it was to balance karma from another lifetime, to heal a lineage, or to ignite a spark of awakening in others. The specifics vary, but the underlying truth does not. You agreed to this. Every struggle, every joy, every pivotal encounter was part of the curriculum. And now, as the contract nears its end, you may feel a strange duality, a pull between the life you've known and something else, something calling you forward. The signs of expiration. How do you know when a soul contract is reaching its completion? The universe speaks in symbols, in whispers, in the language of synchronicity. A sense of culmination. Relationships, careers, or long-held identities begin to feel like ill-fitting garments. What once made sense now feels restrictive, as if you've outgrown it. Recurring dreams or visions? The subconscious often knows before the waking mind does. Vivid dreams of doors, bridges, or ceremonies may signal transition. Sudden disruptions. Life may shake you loose, losses, abrupt changes, or unexpected opportunities that force you to reevaluate everything. Deep nostalgia for something you can't name, a longing for home, but not the physical one. This is the soul remembering its origin. These are not random occurrences. They are the universe's way of preparing you for the next stage. The 3 paths at the threshold. When a soul contract expires, there is no single predetermined outcome. Instead, there are choices each leading to a different unfolding of destiny. Renegotiation. Some souls choose to stay within the same general theme but refine their lessons. A healer may shift from physical healing to emotional or spiritual healing. A warrior may lay down their sword to become a teacher. The core purpose remains, but the expression evolves. Ascension. Others feel a pull toward a higher octave of existence, less about doing and more about being. This is where the seeker becomes the sage, where the illusions of separation dissolve into unity. Dissolution. In rare cases, a soul may choose to fully exit a karmic cycle, releasing all attachments to a particular lineage, relationship, or even physical incarnation. This is not death, but transcendence. Which path calls to you? The answer lies in the quietest spaces of your heart, in the moments when you are most honest with yourself. The illusion of free will versus divine timing. Here, we encounter one of the great paradoxes of the soul's journey. Did you really choose this, or was it all predestined? The truth is both. Imagine a river. The river has a course its destiny is to reach the ocean, but along the way, it can twist and turn, rush or slow, nourish different lands. Your soul contract is the river's path, but how you move through it is your free will. Now, as the contract expires, you stand at a bend where new tributaries emerge. The ocean is still the destination, but the way forward is yours to navigate. The role of fear in the transition. Fear is the shadow that clings to the edges of transformation. It whispers, "What if I'm wrong? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not ready?" But what if fear is not the enemy? What if it is the final test of the expiring contract, a last obstacle to prove you have learned what you came to learn? To step forward anyway, not in the absence of fear, but in spite of it, is the mark of a soul ready for what comes next. There are truths too vast to be contained in ordinary language, truths that can only be carried by myth, symbol, and the silent knowing that stirs in the bones. To speak of the soul's contract is to step into the realm of archetype, where the personal dissolves into the eternal, and where every life is a thread in a tapestry woven long before time began. The Forgotten Architect, a story of the soul before birth. Before you took your first breath, before the world etched its expectations upon you, there was a moment outside of time when you stood before the architects. Some call them the elders, the Akashic scribes, or simply the keepers of the threshold. In that space between incarnations, you were shown the landscape of your coming life. The crossroads where destiny would hinge, the faces of those who would love and wound you. the moments of triumph and despair that would carve wisdom into your spirit. And then the question was asked, do you accept this journey? You did, not out of obligation, but out of a sacred hunger, the same force that drives a star to burn, a river to seek the sea. You chose your parents, your body, your era, not at random but with precision. Every element of your existence was a deliberate ingredient in the alchemy of your awakening. Now, as your contract nears its end, the architects whisper again. The question is no longer, will you accept the journey? But have you become who you came here to be? The Phoenix and the Clock. A parable of time and renewal. There is a legend of a cosmic phoenix whose wings are made of hours, each feather a moment in time. Every 1,000 years, the phoenix glances at its reflection in the mirror of eternity. If it recognizes itself, if it sees that its fires have burned, Purate is granted a choice to rise again in glory or to dissolve into the infinite. You are the phoenix. Your soul contract is the clock woven into your wings. The expiration is not an end, but the moment of recognition. Have you burned brightly enough? Have you loved fiercely enough? Have you learned what you came to learn? If the answer is yes, the fire that once seemed to consume you will instead reveal your true form. The Library of Unlived Lives, a vision of parallel possibilities. Some mystics speak of a library hidden in the folds of reality, where every book is a life you could have lived. The paths not taken, the loves not embraced, the versions of yourself that linger like ghosts in the corridors of choice. As your soul contract expires, the library opens to you, not to breed regret, but to offer clarity. Each unlived life was a potential clause in your contract, a road your soul considered but did not walk. Now, you are asked to review them not with longing, but with the detachment of a scribe finishing a manuscript. What do these alternate lives reveal about the one you did choose? What wisdom hides in the margins? The silent dialogue between past and future selves. In the depths of meditation, in the liminal space between waking and dreaming, you may have sensed the mother versions of you, scattered across time. The child you once were, trembling at the edge of a decision. The elder you will become, smiling at the simplicity of what once felt like an impossible choice. Your expiring contract is the bridge between them. The child signed it in trust. The elder awaits its fulfillment. And the you of this moment? You are the scribe, the negotiator, the one who must decide whether to renew, transcend, or release. The final clause, the secret hidden in every contract. Every soul contract has a final clause, written in a language only the heart can decipher. It is the one promise you made to yourself before the veil of forgetting fell. No matter how lost you become, no matter how deeply you drown in the illusions of the world, there will come a moment when you remember. And in that moment, you will choose a knot out of fear, not out of habit, but out of the unshakable knowing of who you truly are. That moment is now. The grand cosmic truths we've explored are not meant to remain abstract, they are alive, pulsing through the fabric of your daily existence. The expiration of a soul contract is not some distant metaphysical event. It is happening now, in the choices you make, the relationships you navigate, and the silent reckonings of your heart. So how do you recognize this transition in your lived experience? And more importantly, how do you move through it with wisdom? Recognizing the shift in your everyday life. The universe speaks in patterns. When a soul contract nears completion, the signs are rarely dramatic epiphanies. They are subtle, recurring whispers in the rhythm of your days. Relationships that suddenly feel off. The people who once felt like pillars in your life may now seem like strangers. Conversations that used to flow now carry an unspoken tension. This is not necessarily a sign that something is wrong. It may simply mean the karmic agreement you had with them has reached its natural conclusion. Some bonds are meant to dissolve so both souls can move forward. A loss of passion for old pursuits, the career, hobbies, or goals that once drove you may now feel hollow. This is not a failure, it is a signal. Your soul is preparing to redirect its energy toward a new alignment. Synchronicities that feel like winks from the universe. Repeated numbers, chance encounters, songs or phrases that seem to follow you. These are not coincidences. They are breadcrumbs leading you toward the next phase of your journey. A deep, wordless restlessness. You may find yourself staring out windows, feeling an ache for something more without knowing what that more is. This is the soul's way of urging you to pay attention, to listen beyond the noise of the world. Navigating the transition without self-sabotage. When the familiar starts to crumble, the instinct is often to panicto grasp at whatever feels solid, even if it no longer serves you. But this is where discernment becomes vital. Not every upheaval is a call to burn your life to the ground. Some contracts expire gently, like leaves falling from a tree in autumn. Others demand a more conscious release. Ask yourself, is this situation, person, habit expanding me or diminishing me? Does staying here require me to betray myself in some way? What would I do if I weren't afraid? The answers are your compass. The art of conscious renegotiation. If a soul contract is ending, it doesn't always mean you must abandon everything associated with it. Sometimes, it means redefining the terms. Relationships. Not every bond must be severed, some can be transmuted. A romantic partnership may shift into a sacred friendship. A mentor-student dynamic may evolve into peerhood. The key is honesty and mutual willingness to grow. Work. You may not need to quit your job, but perhaps you're being called to infuse it with new meaning, to approach it as a service rather than just a means to an end. Identity. The roles you've played, the caregiver, the rebel, the achiever, may have been necessary for a time, but now they might feel constricting. Who are you beyond these labels? Preparing for the new agreement? Nature abhors a vacuum. As old contracts complete, space opens for new ones, but this is where many souls stumble. In the discomfort of the in-between, there's a temptation to rush into the next thing out of fear rather than wisdom. How to navigate the void? Practice sacred patience. The unknown is fertile ground. Allow yourself to not know for a while. Listen to the body. Physical symptoms often arise during these transitions: fatigue, strange aches, heightened sensitivity. These are not illnesses, they are signs of energetic recalibration. Rest. Hydrate. Move gently. Keep a journal of signs and symbols. The universe communicates through imagery and intuition. Record dreams, recurring words, or animals that cross your path. Over time, a narrative will emerge. The courage to walk away. Some contracts end cleanly, others require a conscious severing. Walking away from a job, a relationship, a belief system is not a failure. It is an act of fidelity to your soul. But remember, grieve what you're releasing. Even if something no longer serves you, it likely once did. Honor that. Release with grace. Whenever possible, avoid burning bridges in anger. What you dismiss in fury may later reveal hidden blessings. Trust the next step will appear. The universe is not in the business of abandoning its creations. When one door closes, another does open, but sometimes you must stand in the hallway for a while before you see it. The most important question you'll ever ask. As you stand at this threshold, there is one inquiry that will cut through all confusion. Does this choice align with the deepest truth of who I am? Not who you were taught to be, not who others want you to be, But the you that existed before the world told you its lies. That version of you knows exactly what to do. There comes a moment in every great story when the protagonist stands at the edge of all they have known, staring into the abyss of what must come next. This is not a moment of ending it, is a moment of remembering. Your soul contract was never meant to be a cage, it was a crucible. Now, as it expires, you are being given the rarest of gifts, the chance to meet yourself again for the first time. Not as the person the world shaped, but as the being who existed before time, who whispered promises into the void and then courageously stepped into flesh to fulfill them. The alchemy of completion. Every ending is secretly a beginning, wearing a disguise. When a star dies, it does not vanish, it scatters its essence across the cosmos, becoming part of new worlds. Your completed contracts are no different. The love you've given, the lessons you've learned, the battles you've fought, none of it disappears. It all becomes fuel for what comes next. But here is the sacred truth so many miss. You are not just the student in this process. You are also the teacher, the architect, the alchemist. The same consciousness that designed your soul's curriculum is the one now evaluating its completion. This means the power has always been in your hand 7 when you forgot. The invitation. The universe does not give warnings without also giving keys. If you've been led to these words, it is because part of you already knows your contract is reaching its culmination. The question is no longer, what is happening to me? But how will I respond? This is your invitation. To release what no longer serves you with gratitude rather than guilt. To step into the unknown not as a victim of circumstance but as a conscious creator. To recognize that every expiration date is also a birth date in disguise. The final mirror. In the end, all spiritual journeys lead to the same revelation. There was never a contract. Not really. There was only ever you, the eternal, limitless you playing hide and seek with yourself through the veils of time and form. The agreements, the lessons, the seeming limitations, they were just love letters you left for yourself to find when you were ready. And you, reading these words right now, you must be ready. Now it's your turn. The theory has been laid before you. The metaphors have been unraveled. But this is not where the story ends, it's where yours begins. So I leave you with 3 final questions, the ones that will light your way forward. What would my soul choose if I weren't afraid? What version of me is waiting on the other side of this transition? Am I willing to meet myself there? The answers will not come from these words, or from any teacher. They will rise from the silent spaces between your heartbeats, in the moments when you're brave enough to stop and listen. Your next contract is already being written not by some distant cosmic bureaucracy, but by the part of you that has always known the way home. All that's left is to sign your name,